Hello, I'm Mike Norris with Omaha Public Power District. I'm a utility forester and I'm here at the OPPD Arboretum and want to visit with you today about planting trees. So one of the tips I'm going to visit with you today about is planning ahead on where you're going to be planting your tree. Here at the Arboretum, we have numerous displays that can show you what to do and what not to do. One of the things that we want to emphasize as an electric utility is don't plant large growing trees underneath our power lines. Here we've got a young silver maple tree that we've planted, and it is actually directly underneath the three-phase. Now this particular demonstration is not electrified, but it serves as an excellent example of what not to do. Right next to this tree is a mature silver maple, and as you can see, it is currently up in the wires and will need to be trimmed. And so when we come back and trim that, people will be able to see what the trees will look like after we've trimmed them near power lines. So again, when you're planting your tree, don't just look at the ground, but look up and see where the overhead wires are, and use that as an example as to how close or how far away you should plant your tree from the power lines. So here in Nebraska, before you do any type of digging, it's important that you call 811. It's the law. And what they can do is they can help you locate underground utilities, such as what we find here. The red markings are for our electrical underground lines. Within the OPPD service territory, we have both overhead lines and underground lines. If you live in a neighborhood that has primarily underground lines, you may very well have one of these two types of transformers in your backyard. We have a primary pad mount transformer and a secondary pad. What we also want to emphasize is that you avoid planting anything within 10 feet in front of the transformers. So in this particular case, this tree needs to be removed because it would interfere with any type of operation that our line crews would have to do or deal with in this particular transformer. So what we have here at the OPPD Arboretum is another example of some overhead power lines. This particular corridor here is our transmission power line. Some of our customers may live adjacent to some overhead transmission lines, in which case OPPD has different regulations that prohibit us from allowing trees to be planted underneath some of our power lines. Here's a classic example of what that looks like and what some of these transmission line corridors look like. So, what kind of tree do you want to plant in your yard? What type of yard do you have? Those are all things that you as the homeowner need to consider. Do you want a large shade tree to shade your house and to conserve energy? Do you want a tree to provide windbreak, such as an evergreen tree? Or do you live in a small yard or have overhead power lines in your yard? Then you may want to consider a smaller ornamental tree or a columnar tree like this columnar oak right here. Here we have a sawtooth oak that will get to be about 45 feet tall and about 40 feet wide. This would not be a good tree to plant adjacent to power lines, but it would look excellent in most other yards. Behind us we also have some spruce trees and some fir trees, and those will provide excellent windbreaks. So when's a good time to plant a tree? Well, the best time to plant a tree is going to be in the spring or the fall. We recommend generally that you don't consider planting your tree in June, July, or August because of the heat. The trees have undergone a tremendous amount of shock when they've been planted, and so consequently it's going to be important that you keep them watered. And during the hottest, driest time of the year, it's going to be the most difficult time for them to thrive. So we do recommend planting in the spring. As soon as the ground thaws is good. And then planting in the fall is also an excellent time. In fact, it's my favorite time to plant trees because The roots are still growing while the ground is still thawed, and the trees have a little bit of a jump start going into the spring then. What tools do you need to plant a tree? Well, obviously you need a shovel and a strong back, but again, remember, please call 811 before you dig. What we also want to talk about or remind you is just plant the right tree in the right place. Don't plant a large shade tree underneath an overhead power line, and if you're wanting to plant a shade tree, plant it on the side of the house where the sun shines down on your house. There's plenty of reference material out there on the internet. You can check out OPPD.com, and we have several links, as well as the Nebraska Forest Service. They have a lot of excellent information on different types of trees that they recommend for the state of Nebraska, your local county extension office, or you can even call OPPD and ask to speak with one of the utility foresters, and we can provide further information. So I guess to wrap things up, I just want to encourage everybody to go plant a tree, enjoy Arbor Day, and plant the right tree in the right place. Thank you.